On June 12, 2025, what began as a routine afternoon in Ahmedabad, India, quickly turned into a nightmare that would haunt the city and the nation for years to come. Air India Flight AI-171, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, crashed just moments after takeoff, bound for London Gatwick. The flight, filled with hope and anticipation, never made it past the city's edge. The plane, carrying 242 people, passengers and crew, was destroyed near the airport, sending thick black smoke billowing for miles and shattering the calm of the afternoon. First responders rushed to the scene, but the devastation was overwhelming, with flames and debris making rescue efforts nearly impossible. The crash site was a chaotic landscape of twisted metal, scattered belongings, and heartbreak, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. The city and the nation were plunged into shock and sorrow as the news spread rapidly, leaving people struggling to comprehend the scale of the disaster. Each person on board had a story, a family, a future, now lost in an instant. The pain rippled through communities, touching countless lives. The tragedy unfolded in real time, leaving families desperate for answers, clinging to hope as they waited for any word from authorities. The flight was a regular, popular route connecting India to the UK, often used by professionals, students, and tourists, making the loss even more personal for so many. The sudden silence at the airport was deafening as rescue efforts began, and the reality of the tragedy set in. The focus shifted immediately to search and rescue, but hope faded quickly as the scale of destruction became clear. The scale of the loss was hard to comprehend, with the aftermath stretching far beyond the crash site itself. Ahmedabad and the world would never forget this day. Vigils and memorials sprang up as people came together to mourn. The incident's details emerged slowly, each one deepening the sense of loss and raising new questions about what went wrong. It was a day that would be forever etched in memory, a tragedy that united strangers in grief and changed countless lives forever. In the aftermath, hope for survivors flickered briefly, then vanished, as the scale of the disaster became heartbreakingly clear. All 242 people on board, including 230 passengers and 12 crew, perished. The silence in the cabin now echoed the silence in the hearts of their loved ones. Among the victims was former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, his loss sending shockwaves through India and leaving a void in public life. The tragedy spared no one, regardless of status or background. Families, professionals, students, and children, all were caught in its path. Stories emerged. Ranjitha Gopakumaran, a nurse from Kerala, was returning to her job in the UK, a journey of purpose, now cut short. She was one of many with dreams and responsibilities left behind. Each name revealed a life interrupted, dreams unfulfilled, and families forever changed by a single, tragic event. The task of identifying victims was agonizing, as families waited at Ahmedabad Civil Hospital for news, clinging to hope that soon faded. The intensity of the crash and fire made identification slow and painful, compounding the suffering of those left behind. Grief united relatives at the hospital, each facing unbearable loss, finding solace only in shared sorrow. The human cost was immense, measured not just in numbers, but in shattered families and futures that would never unfold. The tragedy's impact rippled through communities, both near and far, uniting strangers in mourning and remembrance. The loss was deeply personal for so many, leaving scars that may never fully heal. The crash left a void that could never be filled, a silence in homes and hearts that lingers on. The world mourned with them, as the tragedy became a shared sorrow that crossed borders and touched countless lives. Flight AI-171's passenger list reflected a global community, a microcosm of our interconnected world. Most were Indian nationals, but 53 British, 7 Portuguese, and 1 Canadian were also on board, each with their own unique story. The tragedy became international, with families across continents receiving devastating news, their lives forever changed. The UK government quickly mobilized crisis teams in Delhi and London to support grieving families, offering both emotional and logistical assistance. The loss was felt deeply in Portugal and Canada, where distance made the pain even harder to bear, amplifying the sense of helplessness. The crash reminded us how air travel connects lives and how tragedy can unite the world in grief, transcending borders and cultures. Each passenger had a unique story, a journey interrupted, leaving behind memories and dreams unfulfilled. The world mourned not just numbers but individual hopes and dreams lost, each life a thread in the fabric of humanity. In sorrow, nations stood together, united in their grief and solidarity. The aircraft was a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, delivered to Air India in 2014. Known for its advanced technology and safety, the Dreamliner's strong record made the crash even more shocking. Its flight data recorders, black boxes, would be crucial for investigators. Boeing pledged full cooperation with Indian authorities. The aviation world turned its focus to understanding what went wrong. Experts stressed that air travel remains safe, but every tragedy drives further improvements. The investigation's findings will shape the future of aviation safety. The response was swift and massive. Ahmedabad airport was shut down, giving emergency teams full access to the crash site. Flights were cancelled, and a multi-agency rescue operation began immediately. The DGCA, AAI, Air India and the NDRF all mobilized, joined by local police and officials. Top government leaders, including the Home and Civil Aviation ministers, arrived to oversee efforts and support families. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau took charge of the investigation. Rescue workers faced a grim, dangerous task, shifting from search to recovery. The devastation was immense, the emotional toll heavy. First responders worked tirelessly, driven by duty and compassion. Their dedication in the face of tragedy was extraordinary. Supporting grieving families became the top priority. The Tata Group, owner of Air India, announced compensation of 1 crore rupees for each victim's family. Air India set up a dedicated hotline for relatives seeking information. Regional governments launched helplines and support systems. The Tata Group also pledged to help rebuild a damaged student hostel in Ahmedabad, recognizing the tragedy's wider impact. The UK government established crisis teams to assist British families. Across borders, coordinated efforts provided information, financial help, and emotional support. In crisis, compassion and clear communication were essential. The crash sent shockwaves across India and the world. Prime Minister Modi and leaders from all walks of life expressed their sorrow. Condolences poured in from global leaders: Russia, France, Canada, the UK, the US, and more. The tragedy united people across political, cultural, and national lines. Messages of support brought comfort to a grieving nation. The world stood together, reminded of our shared humanity. As the investigation begins, the memory of Flight AI 171 endures. The crash is a somber reminder of life's fragility. The stories of those lost will not be forgotten. In shared grief, we find unity and resolve to prevent such tragedies in the future.